My name is Mark Humphrey and I'm a multidisciplinary artist, painting, designing, sculpting, inventing many different wonderful things. One of the main reasons why I've pursued Remembrance Artworks in such an emotive way is so that the public have something to visualise, they have something to go and see. It's a destination where they can pay their respects.
Nick Beighton, you can see there, from Great Britain, former captain of the Royal Engineers.
Nick Beighton is a former British Army officer and British Paracanoeist who medalled in Rio, and is training with the GB Paracanoe team to go to Tokyo. Nick lost both his legs in Afghanistan, and both his artworks represent the moment of the trauma through to now, and his journey and the stages of his life since that moment. In terms of the artworks, one of the core reasons of me doing his two artworks is to capture that intensity of what it takes to be a champion, what it takes to be a medalist. And I hope it does some way a little bit of justice to the amount of effort that these guys put in. Do you remember on that first phone call when I was discussing with you, and I remember that word, I used tragedy, and then you said no, it's more trauma.
You know, obviously it's a very emotive issue, isn't it? And the art is trying to portray that. We're trying to take a snapshot of my life, aren't we? You know, over the last, 8 years since I was injured, and you know, it's such a profound part of my life, from being fit and healthy and in the military. You know, I served in the army, I was in Afghanistan doing my job in, you know, difficult circumstances, and just trying to get through it, to in a moment having everything torn apart by standing on an IED and facing a very uncertain future and a very different future, and you know, how do you encapsulate that range of emotions and that journey from, you know, a normal life with dreams and aspirations to absolute despair and facing death to recovering from it, you know. And it's a complicated journey, you know, it's my life, and it's hard to put that into art, but each of the panels tries to grasp a really important element of it, a milestone potentially.
Nick's artworks, there are two parts. Part one are the portraits, and that artwork is called Nick Beighton Part 1, Trauma to Champion, Windows of the Soul, Hepatic. So the portraits represent the stages and journey of Nick's life since the explosion. There are two portraits, one representing life, one representing death, and the silhouette of death is hovering, it's there. The two portraits are split apart quite wide, and then as we go through each chapter, the panels are getting closer until death is no longer there. It's also about his focus, his forward thinking and conquering and becoming the champion. So I position that there.
Yeah.
So this is panel 1,
Yeah.
which is called Explosion.
So much complexity to it and depth. You know, I'm invested in this, aren't I? This is me, isn't it? It's my experiences represented. It's hard to, you know, to take it all in one go, isn't it?
This side and the colours are representing blood, flesh, bone, everything that we as humans are made up of, in a very intense explosion structure.
It's almost like I'm there, but I'm kind of lost in the chaos. You know, the complexity of what's there is almost just that overstimulation of being in the explosion and just trying to deal with that. You know, comes out, it really does.
This one's called Darkness.
Yeah.
All right?
It's intense, that one, isn't it? Really intense, you know. It's such a deviation to what the other ones are in a lot of ways.
It was incredible standing with you as we went through each chapter, and I thought you were going to be more distressed, emotional, upset about panel 1 and panel 2. I thought. Surprisingly, it was panel 4 and the darkness, black-sided carbon fibre with the glimmer that I saw and felt a very emotional part, upsetting part when you were looking at that.
Yeah, that despair, that darkness, panel 4 just that veil over your life and not really knowing where you're going and kind of losing any sense of identity and any direction in life, and sort of that flicker, that seed of hope that you're going to make something from it, and just holding on to it. And that probably is what drove me to get into the Paralympic sport and gave me that handle to hold on to really draw me through those really hard times. This journey from being a wounded soldier on the battlefield, facing a very frightening unknown future, through to being happy with who I am.
Panel 7, champion and gold. It's not all about Olympic gold medals. This artwork is about inspiring and relating and communicating and engaging anyone or everyone who has some story related to your artworks. So the second of Nick's artworks is called Nick Beighton Part 2, Tragedy to Triumph, Metamorphosis of Life, Pentateuch. There are 5 elements. Each bust is on a clear acrylic base which represents a water droplet, a water splash. They're connected by 3 carbon fibre tubes which represent Nick's paddles and gold, silver, bronze medals. There are 3 stages of metamorphosis. We have the bronze bust in the centre, and then we have the silver busts flanking, and then on the outer left and right are the gold. And the way that the bust is moving upwards is representing standing up from the tragedy to the triumph.
There's such strength in certain elements of it. That spinal column is just so powerful, isn't it? It's so solid in the middle, but with this sort of fragility there as well.
Do you think that comes across?
To me, yeah, massively. Yeah, that's what hits you. There is that fragility there, isn't there? Those strands and just that confusion, and there's this real kind of order and solidity in the centre of it, that strength that you get through that column.
The way that you walk around this artwork, you see the butterfly wings in the waves of your head as you rise up.
I love that natural kind of flow of it as well. How we wanted to get that effect of movement, natural flow of the mesh.
So having seen the artworks all lined up, how do you feel? Do you think we captured what we started out to do?
It was such a big project, wasn't it, to encapsulate everything that I've experienced and been through. The beauty of it, I hope, is that it's my story, yes, and it's compelling, but equally it can be applicable to anybody, and people are going to see that and perhaps put themselves in that position, in their barriers and obstacles in their lives, and perhaps draw something from it, and that's really exciting for me, to reach out to other people and perhaps give them a bit of guidance in their own lives.
I'm hoping when Nick's artworks are exhibited that they engage with the audience, that the audience can feel that sense and that power of overcoming trauma. One Canada Square always exhibits wonderful artworks by great artists, and to be able to have this opportunity to exhibit Nick's artworks in the lobbies is a great thing. So I'm very proud and honoured to be associated with that. What do you think?
It's incredible. It's amazing to see it all together. It builds up to this beautiful picture, doesn't it? This story that starts right here at the explosion and ends down at champion, that attainment, that gold, that treasure, and that's the power of it, isn't it? All together.
I think it will look fantastic and do you proud.
Yeah, well, and you, Mark. It's powerful.
Nice one. All right, well done. Nice one.